Hello and welcome to LFC Focus. It is post-match reaction showtime after Liverpool have maintained their 100% start to the Premier League season. It is 21 points from a possible 21. Yet another win on the books. The 16th league win in a row for this utterly incredible Liverpool side. But I think I speak for everyone when I say that is one of the most unpleasant experiences I've ever had supporting Liverpool Football Club. Certainly one of the most unpleasant ones I've ever had, where we've come away with all 3 points at the end of it. I thought that was just, to be perfectly honest, and I don't want to be too negative in this video because, as I said, we've maintained our 100% record. We're top of the league. We're doing fantastically. We came away with the win, but it was just so bad. We were really awful, and we absolutely got away with it today in terms of getting the win. No, it's something I said last week that we got away with it and we were lucky against Chelsea, but at least in that game, the goals we scored were down to our own quality. The goal we scored today was pretty much down to blind luck and just, occasionally things go your way. And obviously as Liverpool fans, we have been the victim of so many goalkeeping errors in the past, so it does feel like karma finally tipping in our favour and giving us the lucky breaks and allowing us to benefit from the goalkeeping errors. So that does kind of feel nice in a way, even though you do feel absolutely terrible for the Sheffield United goalkeeper Dean Henderson, because I think it is fair to say that Sheffield United did not deserve to come away with nothing. Like I said, Liverpool were bad, but you've got to give them credit. They were brilliant throughout the game, closing out the spaces, nullifying all of our threats, causing us more problems than I think we would have liked going forward as well. And I think if it wasn't for the fact that obviously their finishing quality is not going to ever be as good as our finishing quality, because we've got world-class attackers and they have got, good players, but they're not Mane, Salah and Firmino, are they? If, they'd had our players up front, then they probably would have got at least one goal in that game. Although, to be fair, I think our attack was utterly woeful today, both in terms of the link-up play and in terms of the final shot and actually trying to put the ball in the back of the net as well. I think the key problem that stood out for me all the way through was just too much passing, too much trying to work the absolute perfect opportunity, and it played right into Sheffield United hands, because even if we did catch them unawares and get them in a position where they maybe weren't in, like, the players weren't in the right places to defend it, we would keep on playing passes until eventually they were in the right positions, they'd get tackles in, they'd get blocks in, and we wouldn't even threaten shots on goal. The amount of times we got into the final third, it looked like the perfect opportunity. Someone was in the box and they could shoot, they'd lay it off again. I think the moment that really summed up the game for me was that Sadio Mane chance off the post where Firmino gets it in an utterly perfect position. Salah has it earlier on. He tries the pass to Wijnaldum. It doesn't work. He passes it to Firmino and he should just shoot there. Either, I know it's not a great pass from Salah, but he should just blam it with his left, or he should cut inside and try and bend it into the corner on his right. But instead, he looks for yet another pass. And the thing is, you can say, oh, well, Mane hit the post, so he could have scored there. But looking at it, the goalkeeper gets across perfectly. So if Mane does actually get the shot on target, it almost definitely gets saved. And that just seemed to be happening so often, to the point where I was just thinking, Jurgen Klopp just needs to tell the players, just shoot more. Even if you're 20 yards out and there's some bodies in the way, sometimes you might get lucky breaks, you might get a deflection and a corner out of it. You'll at least force the goalkeeper into some sort of action or put some kind of pressure under them. And the alternative always seemed to be just unthreatening passes that were allowing Sheffield United to get back, get into position and defend very well. And the goal ends up coming from Wijnaldum simply taking a chance and shooting. And yeah, the shot's a bit bad. He catches it really well, and I think if that's going in one of the corners, then it absolutely flies in, no questions asked. Unfortunately, he plays it straight to the goalie, but it ends up resulting in a goal, and it just it felt like we weren't willing to kind of try and play the percentages today. We were trying to carve out those perfect opportunities. If you look at it from an XG perspective, we were trying to create, the perfect chance where it was almost guaranteed to go in, whereas really what we needed to be doing was what Wijnaldum did, and just blamming it a little bit more. I know it sounds basic, and it sounds sort of, derivative, and it sounds like we're dumbing down football, when, as we know, Liverpool are a brilliant footballing machine and they're capable of doing things that we can't even really comprehend, if we're being perfectly honest. But sometimes it does come down to the simple things, and the other problem today, I think, was that Liverpool didn't do some of the simple things well either. I thought the control from a lot of the players was utterly shocking, especially in those last 10 minutes where we just couldn't keep the ball for toffee. We were giving it away left, right and centre. There were so many times where the ball fell perfectly at our players' feet. You know, it happened to Robertson, it happened to Wijnaldum, it happened to Fabinho, and they just miscontrol it. They let it bounce through their legs, and suddenly Sheffield United have got another counter-attack. We didn't help ourselves at any point in the game. I thought defensively we were sound enough for bits, but I think certainly in the last 10 minutes, once again, like with last weekend, I ended up watching the end of the game from behind a cushion. It was utterly petrifying. Even more so this week, because I think Sheffield United looked like they had more of a chance of scoring than I think Chelsea did last weekend, because we were just defending in almost a kamikaze style towards the end. And I think the midfield just never really... The creativity wasn't quite there, but I think the front three do kind of have to answer for that as well. I think they weren't really... They were taking up good positions, but they were getting, hounded out of those positions by an admittedly fantastic Sheffield United defence. But when they did actually get the ball given to them, they were making all the wrong decisions for it at every single juncture. I think in general, the midfield just didn't quite seem to control the game. It always felt that when Sheffield United got the ball, they were going to cause us problems, and it shouldn't be that way. It should feel like unless they've got the ball in the final third and it's on the counter-attack or something like that, we should always have confidence in this Liverpool side, because they are that good that they will manage to deal with the problems and they will stop the opposition from creating any meaningful attacks. And we just didn't seem to have that today. And then, of course, as I said, the attack just was not working. And again, some of the credit has to go to Sheffield United. I think they played fantastically defensively. They completely nullified our attack. They did get into fantastic positions. They were all throwing their bodies on the line. They got players back when they needed to, but they also got players forward when they needed to. They didn't invite pressure on. They didn't force Liverpool to put all of our players in their half. When we did get into that situation, they did sort of go to the whole, having 10 players behind the ball type of thing, but they didn't always do it. When it was possible, they'd get out, they'd play a proper game, they'd put us under pressure further up the pitch, they'd stop us from getting out, and we weren't just passing around the back, we were passing around the back with the defensive line being only about 30 yards ahead from goal, whereas typically when Liverpool are in that type of situation where we're endlessly passing between the centre-backs and the full-backs and the goalkeeper, it's pretty much on the halfway line. But Sheffield United didn't allow us to do that, so I think they were absolutely fantastic today, and as I said, they deserve to get more than nothing out of this game. But if you're going to be champions, and we say it a lot, you need to win these types of games. And if we do win the league, and that is looking, more and more likely, if only slightly more likely, with every single passing week, as Liverpool just seem to not steamroller teams, but steamroll the league in terms of just endlessly winning games by any means necessary. If we do carry on like this and we do lift the big shiny thing in May, then this will probably be one of those games that we definitely look back on and think, how on earth did we win that? And it does sort of come down to, we got lucky. We got really, really lucky. I thought we definitely improved in the last 20 minutes going forward. I know I criticised how we defended in those late stages, but I think going forward, once Origi came on, the change of formation helped as much as the change of personnel. I think having an extra body and also having two lines, because Salah plays as that lone striker with Firmino behind him, and then Origi and Mane either side, but dropped further back than they would be if they were wingers in a 4-2-3-1. It just unsettled that Sheffield United defence as well, because they played very much a straight line defensively that forced us to play in a straight line and caused us problems early on in the game. But once they had a situation where it was like, well, do we track Salah or do we stop the players in front of him? Then we started to get a little bit more joy, and obviously Mo Salah has that chance late on where he really should bury it. I thought he was pretty poor today, if I'm being perfectly honest, as was Mane and as was Firmino. None of them were on it at all. And if I had to say who was the best attacker in the game, it'd probably be Divock Origi, because he got on and he did the basics well. His hold-up play was great. He was actually much more threatening when he was getting in the box. His dribbling was great. He was passing it a bit as well, but he was passing into the right areas and he seemed to know when to shoot. And I think it was the right substitution to make, definitely. We were crying out for a player like him. He came on and he changed the game. And, as a result, I think really if it had gone right, then I think we probably would have ended up winning it 2-0 because of the way Origi changed the game. But as it is, I think 1-0 is still an unfair result on Sheffield United and a very, very fortunate result for Liverpool. If I had to give a man of the match, it's got to be Virgil van Dijk. Like I said, most of the team was poor, but he did put in a very, very big shift today. This was one of the games where you realised just how good Virgil van Dijk is, and he is absolutely fantastic, because normally he doesn't really do that much because he's never really called into action. He doesn't need to do that much because he's that good. He's always in the right places to snuff things out before they really develop into any kind of threatening situation. Today he was actually required to do that because Sheffield United were playing well and we were playing, pardon me, really, really poorly, and I thought he dealt with everything that was thrown at him with just so much calm and ease. It wasn't like he was making last ditch tackles and stretching to boot boot it away. He was always in the right position that the ball would just come to him. He'd be bang on in the right place and he'd just be able to clear it while keeping the ball under control. And it was, yeah, like I said, one of those games where Van Dijk really got to prove just how good he is and just how important he is for Liverpool as well, because that did feel like a little bit of a boost for me and probably was a boost for the players as well as we got into those last 10 minutes and you're starting to worry that maybe things are going to unravel and they're going to manage to get an equaliser somehow. You do kind of have that rock to lean on when they've got corners and stuff like that of, well, at least we've got Van Dijk, and that sort of makes you feel like if all else fails, if everything else goes wrong, you have got the greatest centre-back and potentially the greatest footballer in the world right now playing in your defence and sorting the problems out. So Van Dijk has got to be the man of the match. Apart from that, I thought most of the team was pretty poor, to be honest. Obviously, Adrian gets a clean sheet. I think he made a couple of good saves. He looked shaky a couple times as well. There's that one where he actually comes out for a corner and we get a goal kick for it, even though it comes off him last. It's a McBurney header. He comes out and he's got his fist there. And technically, I think it probably counts as a save because it bounces off his fist like that. And I think it's probably going in unless someone blocks it if he doesn't do that. So I thought Adrian did still do some things reasonably well, but at times looked ever so slightly shaky, although at the end of the day, the clean sheet is all that matters. And at the end of the day, the 3 points is all that matters. Yet another win for Liverpool. As I said, 16 in a row now, 7 in a row to start off the league campaign, 8 points clear of Man City as it is. Maybe, who knows, Everton will get a result against City later. I haven't really got any conviction in saying that at all because it's Everton, but you never know. And once again, we've put the pressure on Man City. It's very much over to them. They have got to make sure that they do not blink again, because if they do, then Liverpool may end up being completely out of sight. But for now, at least, we're top of the league, clear by 8 points for the next few hours. We've managed to get the win, God knows how, but sometimes these are the wins that feel the best. So yeah, that is all for today's video. Thank you guys very, very much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, as always, you know what to do. Hit the like button down there, hit that subscribe button there if you're new around here. Check out some of the other videos about on the channel over the past few days. Don't forget to follow at LFC Focus TV on Twitter, and I'll be back soon with the pre-match content for the game against Salzburg. Until then, bye for now.